Hi, this lecture is entitled Student Success in University. It's based on 30 years plus of observations that I've had with students entering first year university, usually from a high school environment. My name is Michael Pidworny. I'm an associate professor at the University of British Columbia, and let's get on with this lecture. So, first thing, I guess first year students ask is, aren't we successful? The fact that we passed high school, usually with high grades, shouldn't we also be successful in first year university? UBC a few years ago surveyed first year students, and from that survey, 95% of them responded that they think that they'll get A's and B's at UBC in their first year. If you look at the actual data, the reality check, the number is actually around 30 to 50%. So what happened? Well, why didn't the marks that they received in high school transfer over to their first year marks in university? Some people believe that high school education has become more watered down. High school has become easier, grade inflation, and this hasn't occurred in university. So first year university courses are often a big jump for students or taking them from first year or from high school experience. So this discussion mainly focuses on introductory science courses, in particular courses dealing with earth science or physical geography. But I think this is common to all science courses, that they seem to have three components to learning. Students are required to learn a whole bunch of new facts. These facts make up processes that are explained, and then the information from facts and processes is usually extended to examples in reality. So what are facts? In my course, Geography 108, they could be something like the average atmospheric pressure of a hurricane is 950 millibars. My course is full of these facts. And these facts describe characteristics of the phenomena that are being studied in my course. Most of the facts described in my course operate in some type of process. These processes produce output. For example, if sea surface temperatures are higher than normal, they may generate stronger hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico. We need to understand how these processes work. By understanding these processes, we can then extend our knowledge of them to things actually occurring in our environment. In Geography 108, the most obvious way that the facts and processes are extended is solutions to environmental problems. I believe that achieving academic success in university is all about controlling behavior. And what students need to do is they need to behave as good students, and these students need to be self-motivated. Now, success is a function of three things: learning, testing well, and in most science courses, being able to do lab exercises well. Now, course delivery at UBC has changed drastically because of COVID-19. Live classes just aren't taking place. The classes are delivered in one of three ways. Either the course is delivered entirely online using live lectures, or we have a combination of live lectures that have been recorded and can be viewed later on, so on demand. Or in my course, what I plan to do is just to deliver the course entirely as in an asynchronous way, where the students can download pre-recorded lectures on demand. Now, back to achieving academic success. I think there's six steps that students need to follow in order to succeed, to do well in their courses. Number one is you have to do your readings. In my course, most of the test questions come from the readings, not my lectures. If the students just study off my lectures and the lecture slides, they might be lucky to get 60 to 70%. If they want to get grades into the 80s and 90s, they have to do their readings. They need to get all of the facts. And not all of these facts are described in a typical lecture. Students need to learn the terms. No matter what course you take, it's going to have a unique set of terminology that is used to help explain the content. So make sure you learn your terms. One technique I see students often use is flashcards. So they'll put the term on one side and then a definition on the back, and they'll practice with these cards to improve their memory. In my course, Geography 108, spatial significance is important. It's a geography course, so there is a focus on where things occur. Students should try to take good notes, and note-taking isn't just a process of jotting down what's said in class. To me, it should be jotting down the main points, and then after class, rewriting those notes with the help of your textbook. Read over the textbook, improve the notes, embellish them, add information to them. Tests need to be prepared for. You just can't cram the night before and hope to do well. Actual preparation for a test should begin at the start of the class until the test takes place. Planning, your learning, making sure you understand it, and then, most importantly, getting a good night's sleep before taking that test. I noticed that young people have a really hard time managing their sleep. Many of them just don't sleep properly. Then the final thing for achieving academic success is manage your time efficiently. You do need time to do stuff that's fun, but make sure you put in enough hours into each of your courses so that you can succeed as best as possible. Okay, just a few more points about those 6 steps to being a successful student. So let's look at the first one. Do your readings. Remember, reading is the most effective technique for the comprehension of knowledge. Studies have shown that reading is far superior to listening in terms of learning facts. Effective comprehension usually requires that the material be read more than once. To me, for each class, what you should be doing is a quick read before the lecture, listen to the lecture, jot down important points, and then do an intense read after, embellishing your notes while doing it. So, as I said, first reading, of course, materials done in a relaxed manner. You're preparing for the lecture. And this should always be done before the lecture, not after the lecture. Material not understood in the first reading should be noted, and special attention should be paid to the professor when they present this information. See if their explanation makes more sense. Second reading should take place after it's presented in class, and as I said, it's probably useful to do this with also embellishing your notes, rewriting your notes, making them better. In that second reading, you should also concentrate on those areas that you thought the professor was emphasizing, because those are probably more important than other areas, and a question's probably going to show up on the test related to those areas that were concentrated on by the professor. In earth science and physical geography, there's a whole lot of terms that need to be learned, and those terms, the purpose of those terms is they help explain concepts. Each time you see a term, you should ask the following questions. What is the meaning of the term? What processes are related to the term that you read about? How is the term related to other phenomena in the spatial dimension? So this is important in my class. What is the significance of the term to the concept being investigated? Another important thing in my class is, as I said, students need to recognize spatial significance. So the phenomena studied in earth science and physical geography often have some sort of spatial context. They take place in some part of the world and not other parts of the world. So it's important to recognize that this may occur. And often some geographical phenomena are interconnected to other features in some unique spatial way. Let's get back to that point about taking good notes. So there are a few techniques that can be used for better note taking. In most lectures, what's taking place is just a descriptive explanation of the course material, and the lectures are usually occurring at a fast pace. So you need to learn how to just jot down the most important facts. Some lectures, some parts of the lecture may also be involved in elaboration, and elaboration is usually done because the professor probably knows that this is a tough thing to understand. So they are trying to provide more information about it. Some lectures will be about illustration. They're related to maybe a figure or a map, or some lectures may be just open discussion. Ponder this idea, think about this question. Every time that you're listening to a lecture, try to identify what the purpose of it is. What is it trying to do, related to elaboration or illustration or discussion? You can't take good notes if you don't come to class, so make sure that you come to class. Don't rely on other people's notes of a lecture. It's hard to tell how good a student is just by meeting them, right? They may take bad notes. You should try to write down what the professor is saying in your own words. Many professors talk using terminology that you still haven't figured out yet. Try to interpret what they're saying in the simplest way you can. Keep your notes you record in class simple. Don't try to jot down every fact. You can get most of those facts from the textbook later on when you're embellishing your notes. Develop some hierarchical structure to your notes. Use headings and subheadings, and they should correlate to headings and subheadings in your textbook. As I said, rewrite and expand your notes using information from your textbook or even other sources of information. There's a lot of good stuff even online. Just make sure that the information is of high quality. When I was a student, I always liked using 3-ring binders because I could move my notes around, right? I could change the order of things. I can add things. In a booklet that is stapled together, it's really hard to move stuff about. Notice the professor's interest level and alert to repetition. Once again, professors have usually taught the course before. They know where students have problems, and if they seem a little bit more excited about explaining something, there might be reason behind it. And if they repeat it, there might be reason behind it, because previous classes had a tough time with that concept. You can highlight your notes. That's a useful technique. I remember I had one student that had about 6 different colored highlighter pens, and it was really hard for me to concentrate on my lecture because I was always wondering what color pen they were using at that time, right? And what kind of code did it mean? Okay, next topic. Prepare for tests. So performance on your test is a function of preparation. I can always tell students that haven't really done a very good job at reading the textbook. They just don't know stuff, and they come up with weird explanations, and you really do have to do your readings in order to do well. In preparing for tests, what you're trying to do is distill information. You want to try to find out or figure out what's the most important stuff, and what stuff can I spend less time trying to understand. Sometimes distillation works, sometimes it doesn't. But you can often find previous tests, and by analyzing those, you can get a good idea of what is important and what isn't important in the lecture. You should go over your readings and your notes often. The more time you spend with it, the better. Conduct shortly weekly reviews of your notes. One useful strategy is to study with other people and then use role-playing strategies. Someone pretends that they're the instructor, and they're going to, ask a question of you, to explain something. These strategies have been found in studies to improve grades. If you can find them, examine old tests, look for patterns. Try to anticipate the types of questions that might be on the test. Often professors will give hints to what they may ask on a test. Try to relax, right? Don't get all stressed out about the test. Don't cram before the exam. Don't consume large amounts of coffee before the exam. Go in there relaxed, and you'll probably do better. A few more points about managing your time efficiently. Successful students use their time wisely. They don't waste time. They usually have a day planner, and they organize their study time. They may, for every 1 hour of class, they have 2 hours or 3 hours of study time, and they're consistent. They follow their planner, and don't deviate from it. So, I mentioned here study about 2 to 3 hours for every 1 hour of class. That's should be okay. Note times when you are best and use these times for reading. I find, I have to read things in the morning. I lose concentration in the afternoons. I do other type of work in the afternoons. But maybe afternoons are your best time. Maybe nights your best time. Figure out what's your best time and save that for the reading, for doing reading. Do not study in marathon sessions. So, break up your studying. Study for an hour and then do something else. And study for another hour. Don't study for 5 hours straight. It won't be, your brain just can't take that much monotony. Use the library. Well, it's hard with COVID, but find a quiet room for studying. Don't study in front of the TV set watching your favorite hockey team lose. You need to concentrate. You need as little noise as possible. There was a recent study that showed that students that listen to music while studying don't do as well as students who don't listen to music. So it makes sense. I mean, your brain is focusing on the music, not on the studying. This is a great website that contains all kinds of information on how to be a better student. So there's the web address. So it's called Study Guides and Strategies, and it's got information on all kinds of stuff and in many different languages. I highly recommend this site. Go to it and see what they have to say. For example, let's say you want to do better on multiple choice tests. They actually have some strategies about that, how to do best on that type of test. The most important thing about being a successful student is be engaged. Be serious about your studies and come to class. Well, I guess it's hard in COVID, but be online. And, don't forget what Ricky Bobby said. Remember, if you ain't first, you're last. So strive to be number one.